All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Very Cold Lasagna, the podcast that houses a safe and open listening platform for casual, cold, and even the dumbest takes in the world of WWE, AEW, the NFL, and the wide world of pro wrestling and sports in general. I'm your host, DylanLasagna. Welcome to today's episode number 65 of this freezing cold podcast. And it's once again time to open up that very cold fridge and grab that very cold lasagna that's still spicy as a, well, one that Garfield likes. Yeah, it's the one that Garfield simply likes. He likes them tasty and hot. So anyway, we got a good show for you all on this fine episode. We're going to be talking about Week 11 of the 2021 NFL season, my winners and losers, and obviously we're going to be going through all the games. And when that's all said and done, we're going to be talking about Week 12 of this NFL season. That includes 3 Thanksgiving matchups. Well, actually, technically 1, because the other 2 are going to be full of shit. I'm just saying it right now. I'm just being brutally honest with you. Yeah. I'm not looking forward to the first 2 games of these Thanksgiving slate of games that are coming up in Week 12. But obviously, we have a full week of NFL action to recap first. So we're going to be talking about that. Obviously, the winners and losers and all that. And the games. And then when we're done with that, Week 12. So anyway, if you like what you see or hear here on Very Cold Lasagna, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on the notification bell, listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, as well as Google Podcasts, and follow the show on social media on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. So let's talk about this week. Week 11. We're almost entering this home stretch of the NFL season. It technically is almost the home stretch, isn't it? You know, there are a lot of very important matchups going into this week. Teams are trying to get into the division race, or they're trying to grab playoff spots. Or maybe some people like, the Detroit Lions are probably down in the basement, trying to play spoiler, or maybe just trying to get that number 1 overall pick in next year's draft. Either way, this was going to be a week where, some of those teams were looking to prove that they're not the flukes. They're not the, we're not pretenders in the playoff race. So we got things rolling with Thursday Night Football with the New England Patriots beating the Atlanta Falcons in a shutout. Yeah, the rematch of Super Bowl 51 went nowhere near anywhere expected. As the New England defense pretty much sacked and harassed Matt Ryan all night long so bad that even his backups were kind enough to throw interceptions to them too, en route to pitching a shutout, 25-0, on another Thursday night letdown. So then we get to the Sunday slate of games. The Philadelphia Eagles blew out the New Orleans Saints, 40-29. I mean, in fairness, a lot of their starters on offense were pretty much sitting this game out because they also play on Thursday as well. So, I mean, there's a little bit of an asterisk, but still an impressive performance nonetheless by Jalen Hurts, who pretty much ran over a Saints team that has a tough run defense, but they let Jalen Hurts run over their asses for 3 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns. And this Saints team really couldn't generate anything on offense. And Trevor Siemian kept giving the ball away to the Eagles defense. And that included a game-crushing pick 6. And, when New Orleans tried to play catch-up, when they tried to make it a game, it was already too late. And the Eagles went on to win this one 40-29. Then, in a game that nobody probably gave a shit about, the Miami Dolphins beat the New York Jets 24-17. And, there's a lot of shitty performances from both teams' kickers. But Tua Tagovailoa's 2 touchdowns were enough to propel the Jets in a toilet bowl matchup. In a sort of a revenge game of sorts, Taylor Heineke of the Washington football team balled out against his old Panthers team. And the Washington defense, even without Chase Young, they spoiled Cam Newton's first start at home since 2019 for a good part of this game. The Carolina Panthers were going neck and neck with this Washington team. But in the end, Carolina was just stopped short. Cam Newton was sacked on the final down for Carolina as Washington holds on to beat the Carolina Panthers 27-21 in a sort of a big win for this Washington team. Pretty cool. And in probably the biggest upset of the day, and in a big way, the Indianapolis Colts beat the Buffalo Bills 41-15, and this was all on the backs of Jonathan Taylor. He is the Bill Slayer because he literally single-handedly bulldozed a Buffalo team that not only couldn't stop itself with penalties, but they couldn't stop Jonathan Taylor running over their asses to 5 touchdowns. Man, I'm getting a little concerned about the Bills right now because not only did they just let Jonathan Taylor run over them, but their offense is looking pretty damn bad right now. So they just allowed the New England Patriots to take the lead in the AFC race title hunt. So if you're a Bills fan, you got to be worried about the way the offense and the defense are performing right now. So the Colts on the up and up. And with the way that Tennessee is playing right now, who knows? Maybe they can make a late crack at that division title. So Colts destroy the Bills 41-15. Then in a rather unexciting turnover orgy fest, the Browns nearly skid marks themselves into handling the Lions, who were not led by Jared Goff. They were led by Tim Boyle, some random backup quarterback. The Browns beat the Detroit Lions 16-13, and preventing them from actually winning their first game of the season. So the Lions remain winless and tied, I guess. So that was the thing. Then in the land of all elite wrestling, the San Francisco 49ers didn't buy into Tony Khan man's all elite bullshit that is all elite wrestling, because Jimmy G, Brandon Ayuk, and a dose of defense and ball control completely dominated Trevor Lawrence and a completely shitty Jaguars defense. So the 49ers dominate the Jaguars 30-10. And then in another big upset of the day, the 1-win Houston Texans came out of their bye week, beating the Tennessee Titans 22-13. How about this? On the backs of Tyrod Taylor and Desmond King, who intercepted Tyrod Taylor twice, and they managed to get 4 total interceptions. The Texans rained all over the Titans, who look lost as all hell, with Ryan Tannehill's turning the ball over, A.J. Brown getting hurt, the running game not working, and they just released Adrian Peterson. Oh, man, Derrick Henry really was a very important player for this Tennessee team, and, man, they are not looking hot right now. So the Texans upset the Titans 22-13, and on the flip side, though, you kind of cost yourself the number 1 overall pick. Houston, I don't know what you're doing. Then in probably the game of the week, the Minnesota Vikings beat the Green Bay Packers 34-31. I'd say this game was pretty damn good. Kirk Cousins stepped up for the game of his life, even though it wasn't a playoff game, but still, it was pretty big. These are the kind of games they usually mentally chokes in. But Kirk Cousins stepped up, outlasted Aaron Rodgers in the last 2 minutes of the game, and drove his team down to give his kicker, Greg Joseph, yet another chance to get a game-winning field goal gimme. So the Vikings get an upset over the Packers, 34-31. And then the Baltimore Ravens, without Lamar Jackson, who was out of the game, ill, non-COVID related, they spread the illness of Bears football to the Chicago Bears. 2 big plays by Andy Dalton were just not enough, as the Bears allowed Devontae Freeman and the Lamar Jackson-less Ravens to retake the lead very late. And when the Bears were pretty much trying to get back into this game, Dalton just let himself get sacked on a Hail Mary attempt. So the Ravens beat the Bears 13-16. 16-13. I don't remember the score. And in the afternoon slate of games, the Bengals blew out the Raiders 32-13. And this was because the Raiders out-bungled the Bengals, as the engine of Derek's car got smoked out by a Bengals defense. And it pretty much sealed the deal with a pick six. So Joe Burrow, I mean, he didn't do much in this game. So it was pretty much Joe Mixon running the show on offense. And yeah, this Raiders offense does not look good at all. I guess Henry Ruggs and his deep threat his deep threat ability really was important, but still, what he did was stupid. I guess that was still a key missing thing in this Raiders team. But nonetheless, the Bengals beat the Raiders 32-13. The Arizona Cardinals in Seattle beat the Seahawks 23-13. No Kyler Murray again for Arizona, but Colt McCoy perhaps stepped up for his biggest win of his very career, and he torched the Seahawks, who can't seem to get anything going offensively on their end. Russell Wilson looked pretty bad in his second game back from the finger injury, and if you're Seattle, you got a lot of concerns. I think if they don't win their next game, they're pretty much out of this. They're pretty much out of this playoff race. So the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Dallas Cowboys 19-9. It wasn't the offensive shootout that we were all expecting. It was a defensive battle by both teams, and it came down to Dak Prescott not being able to handle the pressure because he was being sacked countless times. His offensive line was selling out for him. But in the end, it was just Dak throwing away the ball to the defense. Meanwhile, Mahomes and the offense were also not able to do anything as well. But, the usually bad defense for the Chiefs actually had a good game in this one in attacking Dak. So the Chiefs beat the Cowboys 19-9. Then in the Sunday night game, the Chargers nearly clippered in the fourth quarter. They allowed 27 unanswered points to the Steelers and let them take the lead. But Justin Herbert and his heroics to Mike Williams with 4 minutes to go was just enough to get LA past Pittsburgh honestly, it was a very pro-Pittsburgh crowd in SoFi, and that was pretty funny to see. So the Chargers outlast the Steelers 41-37 in a very crazy Sunday night game. And then in the Monday night game, which was not so crazy, and good thing I was at work for this one, the Tampa Bay Bucks beat the New York Giants 30-10. And when I saw this, I mean, what else was new with Danny Pennies, to be honest with you? Because he was pretty much, giving away his free gifts to the defense once more. He was throwing away more interceptions than he usually does. And Tom Brady didn't need all 4 quarters to mop the floor with a terrible Giants team that just kept staying on the field on defense because, well, Danny Pennies loves to give a lot of gifts, even if it isn't Christmas. So the Tampa Bay Bucks beat the New York Giants 30-10. So that was week 11 of this NFL season. Overall, I mean, there were still some interesting developments in this week, but I mean, it wasn't like a crazy ass week of football, but I mean, there was still some really, really interesting developments that went on in the league. But let me know how you felt about this week as we head towards the stretch run of the NFL season. Now let's talk about some winners and losers of week 11, and I gotta start with the Arizona Cardinals as our first winner. Third week without Kyler Murray. They're about to hit their bye week in week 12, and damn, I didn't think that they would pull this off. They were going to Seattle. They were going to play Russell Wilson and Seahawks offense that was trying to find its rhythm again, and they just outplayed them. They literally outplayed a Seahawks team that just looked lost again for the second straight game. And, they were in their pretty normal environment. And Russell Wilson just looked, he was looking like a deer in the headlights. So, in regards to Colt McCoy, although he pretty much played it safe for much of the game, he did some things right. He didn't, make any game-breaking mistakes, but he also, took some chances. He rolled out of the pocket. He did a pitch trick to Zach Ertz at the goal line for the game's first touchdown. And he even, he did his best Kyler Murray impression by running out of the pocket, by running it out of the pocket and trying to run as fast as he can past the line of scrimmage. And, he took some chances. He really did take some chances to help his team win the game. And there's still no DeAndre Hopkins, but they did get AJ Green back. And rookie receiver Rondale Moore got more involved in the offense. So heading into their bye week, they should feel good about themselves. 2-1 without Kyle Murray. And it was not a bad stretch. They still have the top seed after Green Bay lost. And they should feel good about themselves heading into this Monday night matchup after their bye against the Rams. So they should get Kyler back after the bye, and when they do, who knows what's to come for this team. The Minnesota Vikings. Now, they would have lost this game had Kirk Cousins 2 interceptions in this game had not been called back by penalties and a booth review very late in the game, near the 2-minute warning. But nonetheless, they played this game like, it was a do or die game in the playoffs. Kirk Cousins, this was a game, like I said, this was a game that he normally mentally shrinks in, but, he was more aggressive. He was playing as if he was this was the last game of his career. He took a lot of chances, which he should always do. He should always take a lot of aggressive chances. And Justin Jefferson, their second-year receiver, he went toe-to-toe with a really good Packers defense and pretty much torched them. And guys like Adam Thielen, Tyler Conklin, and Dalvin Cook all stepped up to help Kirk Cousins. And the Vikings defense also had themselves a nice day as well. They pressured Aaron Rodgers into some pretty rushed throws as well, and they got to him a couple of times. So this was a good win for the Vikings, and they're on the up and up. Now it's just a matter of, can they do it again next week in a big game against the 49ers? That remains to be seen. And then the Indianapolis Colts. Their 2-game win streak against the Jags and not the Vikings, the Jets. It easily could have been looked at as an aberration heading into their Week 11 game against real competition in the Buffalo Bills. And, as you saw on my picks portion of last week's show, I was like, yeah, they're going to get stomped by Buffalo because, I didn't believe in Carson Wentz. They could do anything. But then we got to this game. Jonathan Taylor ran the show, and it pretty much, them letting him do whatever he wanted, it paid off in a very major way. And it led to him single-handedly dominating the Buffalo Bills en route to 35 of the Colts' 41 points. Yeah. It's yeah, Carson Wentz, you could take a back seat behind Jonathan Taylor, and, we'll let him do all the ass-kicking in this one. So, eventually, yeah, down the line, let's say next week against the Bucs, Carson Wentz is going to have to get a little bit more involved. But if he can limit his turnovers, if he can limit his mistakes, then, the Colts can be one of those dark horse playoff contenders in the AFC. Especially if Wentz and Jonathan Taylor are rolling at the same time. Holy hell. They're going to be hard to beat. And that was for some of the losers. The Buffalo Bills. Oh my God. What is happening with them? What is going on? It's 1 week they're good, and then another week they just really suck. And this is after their bye week, and after they lost to the Titans, in week 6, it's they've been back and forth about how good and bad they are. And it's just even with the return of their tight end Dawson Knox a couple weeks ago, it's they're still doing pretty bad. And in every other week, it's what happened here? It's everyone was healthy, everyone was on the field with each other, but it's nothing clicked. Josh Allen in this game was throwing a lot of free gifts to the defense, and then the running committee was next to nothing there, and it's pretty bad. And then obviously the defense, as I keep mentioning, they were able to contain Michael Pittman, but guess what? They weren't able to contain Jonathan Taylor. And now, because they kept losing so much, instead of winning, especially to teams like the Jaguars and the Colts, now they let New England take the lead. They let them take first place in the division, and now you're gonna have to win, probably twice against New England. You're probably gonna have to sweep the division series against them if you want to get that division lead back. So this is very concerning. I mean, it's not panic time yet. It's just very concerning for a Bills team. That was one of the favorites to win the AFC this season, but the performances as of late, it's gonna be very concerning. It is very concerning. The Tennessee Titans, even before all the injuries in this game, Ryan Tannehill and this offense looked very broken. And yeah, I gave them they were part of my winners group 2 weeks ago when they pretty much torched the Rams on Sunday night, but that was more of the defense. And I'm willing to give the offense a little bit of leeway for another 2 weeks, but damn, they look so bad in this game. The ground game pretty much was nowhere to be seen. Adrian Peterson was not the thing that would help them, and it turned out to be true because when they released him, that fact was exemplified. And the receivers were selling for Ryan Tannehill. They were not getting open. They had butterfingers. They also got hurt, including A.J. Brown, and he might not play Sunday against New England. And the defense also gave up big yards to Tyrod Taylor, of all people. Yeah. So it's an indictment of, either Derrick Henry was really an important player to this Titans offense, or a bunch of injuries to this team haunting them at the worst possible time. So this is not good for Tennessee right now, especially considering that Indianapolis is really, even with the season sweep, the Colts are on the up and up. They are rising fast, and the Titans are free falling at the worst possible time. The Dallas Cowboys, this was a chance to dominate offensively. This was a chance to get a vice grip on the top seed in the NFC. But you know what? This is what always happens with the Dallas Cowboys. Instead of trying to partake in a shootout with the Kansas City Chiefs, and even if they're doing semi decent on defense, they decide to lay an absolute egg. Dak Prescott and the boys were nowhere to be found, and Dak didn't run out of the pocket that much in this game. And even though there's no Amari Cooper because he's unvaccinated, Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb were dropping open passes they typically do when they eat too much Butterfinger. So this offense, in the last 3 games, it's been too inconsistent. And if they keep this up, and the next couple weeks, they keep losing, and Philadelphia, and hell, even Washington, they could leave the door open for either one of those teams to catch up to them. And I know it seems crazy, but Dallas keeps playing this way, and the division, for as weak as it is, it becomes wide open. The Las Vegas Raiders offense, they look really bad. They have looked really bad. I guess the loss of Henry Ruggs really broke them. It really, really broke them. Not just in a mental state, but schematically. I guess Henry Ruggs was that deep threat that Derek Carr doesn't have. I mean, sure, they have Deshaun Jackson, but the dude's washed. Let's be honest with you. And everyone but Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller, they can't get open. And the offensive line can't protect Derek Carr long enough for him to throw. It's just a very bad situation all around for this Raiders offense. And it's looking to continue that way for the rest of the season until, Derek Carr fixes something, to be honest with you. He's got to do something to change things up. And then Russell Wilson of the Seahawks, I think it was either him or Pete Carroll that decided that maybe he came back too soon. He doesn't look like the same daredevil QB that would, like run around the pocket or, make those daredevil throws that would scare defenses. And even if he make daredevil throws, it hasn't scared like the Packers or the Cardinals in the last 2 weeks. And he makes those daredevil throws, but he's also anticipating way too much for them to make them happen. He's trying to find guys open. He's trying to wait around to see if he can make something happen. And then when he waits too long, sack city. He's willing to eat sacks so he can, like, if he doesn't make the daredevil throw. It's like he's not willing to make the checkdowns to his teammates. It's like the reverse Jimmy Garoppolo, if you know what I mean. So, maybe it's a matter of he doesn't want to aggravate the finger injury, or I don't know, maybe he's trying to get his throwing motion, his throwing finger, more in line. But all in all, it's not good right now for the Seahawks offense, especially for Russell Wilson, because they're in a really bad funk. So those are my winners and losers. Let's quickly give out some awards for the players of the week here on Very Cold Lasagna. Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins, 3 touchdowns in a win over the Green Bay Packers, and leading this team to a quality win over Green Bay. Jonathan Taylor, the running back for the Indianapolis Colts, single-handedly running over the Buffalo Bills with 5 touchdowns on the day. Justin Jefferson, I think it was like a touchdown or 2 against the Green Bay Packers and outdueling Devontae Adams. And the Indianapolis Colts defense. Now, I could have awarded this to the Patriots for their shutout, but the Colts put on a dominating display, picking off Josh Allen 4 times and sacking his ass a few times as well, and making him feel like rattled and scared all game long. And they sent his ass to the bench when the game got way out of reach. So the Colts defense, it did their job in getting that win. So yeah, 2 for the Vikings, 2 for the Colts this week. So that was the week that was week 11 of the NFL season. Let me know your thoughts. Who are your winners and losers, and who are your players of the week? So now let's close things out. Let's talk about week 12. Week 12 not only brings us the stretch run of the NFL season. I mean, can you really call it a stretch run when, can you really think of any team that wants to make the postseason right now? Like, does any team really want to make the playoffs right now, considering, that the Buffalo Bills, the Indianapolis Colts, the Tennessee Titans, the Patriots, the Vikings, the 49ers, pretty much the whole playoff picture is in a state of funk. It's pretty much a whole clusterfuck. It's like, who really is deserving to go to the playoffs at this point? Because it's like one week a team is good, and then the next week they're just so bad. It's like, which one do you want to be? Where's the consistency here? I mean, there's only a very few select here. There's only a very few select in this group. I mean, the Cardinals, they've been wheeling and dealing without Kyler Murray, and then the Packers have been, they've been on and off. And then The Bucks, I mean, they got back on track, but then look at their last couple of games. So either way, this week, it's just like the last couple of weeks, to be honest with you. It's probably going to be another chaotic week where we truly don't know. We still truly won't know who really wants to go to the playoffs. So it's going to be a wild one. And this week will bring us not just the week where we probably won't know who really wants to make the playoffs, and that's if anyone wants to go to the playoffs at this point, but it's the week that brings us not just some Thanksgiving football, but it also begins the start of holiday football, Thanksgiving and Christmas football. So it's Thanksgiving and Christmas football season. And at least for the Arizona Cardinals and the Kansas City Chiefs, they get to spend their Thanksgiving with these on their bye week. So they're lucky bastards, man. They get to eat all they want, including some good old-fashioned turkey. They don't need to eat the ones that they give on the Sunday night football broadcast that they do on Thanksgiving. You know, the winner gets a fat-ass turkey. If they don't need that one, they can make their own. They can make it like a deep-fried turkey or some shit. So either way, we'll begin to know, or maybe we won't know, who's going to be like the people, the teams that'll probably be or not be in a playoff race on Turkey weekend. So starting off with the Thanksgiving slate, the Chicago Bears will go to Detroit to take on the Detroit Lions. For how many years have they done this? Like 3 straight years? Like 3 straight seasons? They've done this matchup on CBS and Fox alternating? Why? Why do you continue to do this, NFL? Why do you continue to do this? Is it because like tradition? Like because the Lions have always be on Thanksgiving? It's like, can we please end this tradition of the Lions always being on Thanksgiving? Because they are pretty much the poverty, like they're pretty much the poverty, the little baby cubs, and they suck. They absolutely suck. They always almost lose on Thanksgiving anyway. They are garbage. They are ass cheeks. They're so bad. And on top of that, we have to see Turkey Day Bears football, Maggle. We have to see that too. Oh man, this is a recipe for disaster. And add to the fact that we could either see Jared Goff or Tim Boyle go up against Andy Dalton. Oh man, I'm so sorry. It's like, do I have to watch this game? Do I have to watch it in full on Thanksgiving? I'm probably not going to, because this is just this is so bad. So this is such a good way to start off your Thanksgiving with the mediocrity of the Lionsy Bears way, with some Bears football, John, and the poverty baby Cubs. So I'm gonna roll with the Chicago Bears and move on with my life. So in the afternoon game, the Las Vegas Raiders take on the Dallas Cowboys in another game that I still don't understand the tradition for. So the Cowboys probably won't have Amari Cooper again due to COVID, and CeeDee Lamb is still a question mark because of the concussion protocol. But for the Cowboys, at least their offense is not like the Raiders, where they are absolute shit offense, and Derek Carr has completely broken down. So I'm going to roll with the Cowboys in this game. Then in the nightcap, the Buffalo Bills take on the New Orleans Saints in the Superdome. I expect a big bounce back from Bills defense that should be performing much better than they did on Sunday against the Colts, and for Josh Allen to bounce back even harder. They should pounce on Trevor Siemian's candy ass in the Silverdome. Oh, sorry, the Superdome. I'm pulling a Hulk Hogan here. And yeah, there's just too many injuries, too many underperforming by the Saints to keep up with a Bills team that is primed for a bounce back. Or who knows, maybe they'll just give this one away too on Turkey Day. So I'm going to roll with the Bills. Then in the Sunday slate of action, you got a couple of important games here. The Atlanta Falcons, this is not an important one, but we get to the early morning slate of games. The Atlanta Falcons travel to the land of All Elite Wrestling to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars in some pointless filler. If Matt Ryan gets Cordell Patterson back this week, then the Falcons will likely win this one. But if he doesn't, then they'll probably still win by a very slim margin. So I'm going to roll with the Falcons. The Carolina Panthers travel to Miami to take on the Dolphins. This is an important game for both teams because neither one can afford any more dings to their playoff hopes, even though Miami didn't really have much to begin with. It's going to be a tough out for Tua Tagovailoa, especially with a tough Panthers defense, even though they got burned by Taylor Heineke last week. And Cam did all right in his first start. And he could probably translate that success to the Dolphins, a much more inferior team. So I'm gonna roll with the Panthers to beat the Miami Dolphins in South Beach. Then the New York Jets will take on the Houston Texans in a game where someone by the end of it will have 3 wins. And who will it be? Who cares? Give me the Texans, I guess. The Philadelphia Eagles take on the New York Giants in the Meadowlands. The Eagles have been playing good football on the backs of Jalen Hurts and the running game. And Danny Pennies and the G-Men have sucked so bad that they've fired Jason Garrett, their offensive coordinator and former head coach of the Cowboys. So expect more of the same for Jalen Hurts. And they'll probably run away with this one. So I'm going to go with the Eagles. The Pittsburgh Steelers travel to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. The Steelers actually managed to do well against a good Chargers defense. And, for as immobile and old as hell as Big Ben is, and, I wasn't convinced with Cincinnati's blowout win over the Raiders last week. I'm going to go a little crazy here. And for as much as I'm not convinced about the Steelers either, I'm going to go with the Steelers to beat Cincinnati in a probable and very crazy upset. Then in one of the big 3 important matches of the week, the Tampa Bay Bucks traveled to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. This is going to be a big prove-it game for both teams. Tampa Bay wants to prove that they're truly ready to embark on their quest for a repeat. And, Tom Brady and the offense want to they want to make sure that they're ready for that stretch run as well as their defense. And the Colts want to prove that their 3-game winning streak is no joke. And getting a win here will be assured of that. But I think that experience and talent will play beneficiary for Tom Brady and company. But, don't expect Jonathan Taylor and Carson Wentz and the Colts to simply lay down for the defending champs in their home stadium. So even though I'm picking Tampa Bay, it's probably going to be a close one between these two teams. Then in Gillette Stadium, the Tennessee Titans take on the New England Patriots. The Titans are pretty much free-falling while the Patriots are firing on all cylinders. So I expect Bill Belichick and Mac Jones to pretty much bully Ryan Tannehill all day long. So I'm going to roll with the Patriots. So in the afternoon slate of games, the LA Chargers take on the Denver Broncos in the Mile High. Denver is coming off their bye, but does that mean Teddy Bridgewater will finally be more aggressive under center? Will he make more high-risk throws? Probably not. So that probably means more craziness from Justin Herbert on paper to pretty much torch a tough Denver defense. So Teddy Bridgewater will have to go lights out. So I'm going to go with the Chargers in this one. So the LA Rams take on the Green Bay Packers in another important matchup. And Aaron Rodgers and the offense, they've been doing good for themselves in spite of the loss last week. But we don't know how the Rams are going to be after coming off a blowout loss before their bye week to the 49ers. So they were still trying to integrate Odell Beckham into the offense, but Matthew Stafford probably had an even worse game than the one the previous week against the Tennessee Titans before the Rams bye week. So, are they going to right the ship offensively as well as defensively? That remains to be seen. But I'm going to roll with the Packers because, they have a better quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. And their defense, aside from last week's game, has been playing much better. So I'm going to roll with the Packers. And then in another big game that'll have major wildcard implications for both teams, the Minnesota Vikings traveled to Levi's Stadium to take on the San Francisco 49ers. Surprisingly, both Kirk Cousins and Jimmy Garoppolo have been playing good football lately. Yes, I can't believe I'm saying that. And each team has found their own formula of success to win games. Yes, call me crazy. All that comes to a head in this one, but gotta roll with my 49ers, obviously. They got more talent, a better defense, at least in the front seven, at least. The secondary is still a question mark. And, they got better weapons on offense that just outweighs Minnesota's. So I'm going to roll with the 49ers in what should be a heavyweight fight. Then the Sunday Night Football game, the Cleveland Browns take on the Baltimore Ravens. And this is a very competitive AFC North. And it's going to feature the first and last place teams of the division. And Lamar Jackson, it remains to be seen if he's going to play in this game. Was he able to, fully heal from that illness? I don't know what it is, how he got sick from it, but that remains to be seen. Is he going to be healthy enough to play against a banged up Cleveland offense? And that includes Baker Mayfield. That remains to be seen. But he's going to be going up also against a pretty intense Browns front four. So if Lamar Jackson plays, they're going to put up some fireworks on a Browns team that doesn't put up any fireworks. But if Lamar Jackson doesn't play, that could be cause for concern for the Ravens. But either way, I'm going to roll with the Ravens, and I do think it's possible that Lamar Jackson comes back this week. So I'm going to go with the Ravens on this one. Then the Monday night game, oh boy. The Seattle Seahawks take on the Washington football team in the nation's capital. So this will either be Russell Wilson's get-right game that will hopefully propel them, at least to the Seahawks, to make some improbable and impossible comeback playoff run. Or this will be another shellacking for him and the Seahawks. Washington has been playing surprisingly decent football and getting good results from Taylor Heineke. So, in my opinion, I think they should be able to pick apart a Hawks team that's just been very bad on offense, and their secondary still sucks ass. So I'm going to go with the football team to close out Week 12. So those are my picks for Week 12. Let me know what you're going with for this full slate of games. Some important ones this week. We got 4 of them. I know I said 3, but we actually have 4. But, let me know what your picks are, however you can, whether it's on YouTube or social media. But let me know how you feel about these picks. It's going to be one interesting one, but obviously we're getting closer and closer to that home stretch of the playoffs in a couple of matter of weeks. When we reach to week 14 and then so on and so forth, with 15, 16, 17, it's going to get really, really tight when everyone is pretty much playing at that point. No more buys. So it's going to be crazy. But that is it for this episode of Very Cold Lasagna. That is my recap of Week 11 of the NFL season and my picks for Week 12. Let me know what you guys thought about today's topics. And that is it for today's show. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, and Google Podcasts. Follow the show on social media on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. And as always, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of pro wrestling and sports. Freezing cold in the fridge, but still tasty, like a spicy hot Garfield like lasagna. Until next time, peace out.